Hi everyone, welcome back to the Keep the Ball Rolling podcast. Here with Adam and Ash, gentlemen. Pleasure to talk football with you again. It's been a while. Both doing well, I assume.
Yeah, all good, thanks. Are you?
All good.
Not too bad, mate. Not too bad. Yeah, I've started some new diet pills, so I'm literally sitting here in floods of sweat at the moment. So I'm looking forward to having a shower when we finish, and having a clean up and a chill out. Uh, Grim stuff, mate. Grim stuff. Um, we'll start with. There's a few talking points around this fixture, so we're going to start with Everton v Man United. So we'll start with you, Ash. And what do you think your thoughts are on the game? Everton are in fairly decent form themselves, but Man United are the form team of the league. Strangely enough, we wouldn't have said that probably 5 or 6 weeks ago, but you are.
Yeah, me and
Uh,
Ad was literally about it the other day about them being, in form of the league. But Everton have been picking up decent form as well, haven't they? I think they won 3 or 4 out of the last six, maybe. Obviously, I know they've had the point deduction, but they've been, they have found form, and I think they are a really tough team to break down. But I think United will get the job done. You'd like to think anyway. Um, it's just same as always, like it's been all season. It's just the injury concerns again. I know Haaland's being tested. I think Onana's back now. I saw earlier that Mount's out. I don't know how long he's going to be out for. So yeah, I'd like to think that they'll get it done on Sunday, but who knows? You think they've picked up form, but they need to start the season. They should have started the season like they are now. At the end of the day, it's Man United you're talking about. You should be steamrolling against teams like Everton.
you've had a few other injury concerns allayed as well, haven't you? I think it's Wan-Bissaka and Luke Shaw both in training now.
Yeah, Shaw's back in training. I ain't sure about Wan-Bissaka. I know Shaw is. So, I mean, I don't think he'd start. I wouldn't imagine, but um, it's looking better. But then when one comes back, and then one seems to go again. So it's hard going, isn't it, for him?
Yeah. Do you think there's an element of siege mentality from Everton with the point deduction and sort of everyone rallying together and making it a harder fixture than it would have been if they hadn't been deducted points?
Yeah, potentially. And I think I think Dyche is a good manager, to be honest. And I think he'll get them motivated probably even more now. And they seem to have been a bit more consistent in their lineup. They seem to have got the team that they want to be playing week in, week out, and they seem to have adapted well to Dyche's, way of football. And Calvert Lewin's obviously back as well now, isn't he? So I think for any team, really, Everton's a bit of a tough game.
Yeah, they've got a good home record, haven't they? Usually, and they
Yeah,
do get themselves up for the bigger games. To be fair, the crowd are beyond you, aren't they? And it's obviously a tight, compact stadium makes it difficult for away teams. When we last spoke, obviously there was no clarity around your supposed takeover. It now looks like we've got some answers at least. Is the Jim Radcliffe takeover the one you and the other United fans were hoping for?
I mean, for me personally, no, I'd rather somebody take it over solely. I don't believe in this, partnership stuff. Is it 25% stake he's going to be having apparently? But then I did see something as well the other day, which obviously I put in the WhatsApp group about they might be kicked out of Europe if Radcliffe comes because of the French team. Is it or something that he owns? Was it Lyon or Nice or
So
somebody?
Yatton's niche, yeah. I haven't read too much into that, to be honest. I don't know
No, I
what's
haven't seen
occurring
all the
there.
information. It's just something I saw on Facebook, and you just think, it's a massive money loss, isn't it? Straight away, if you can't have any European football with the TV rights and whatever else. But I just think, like I've said multiple times, the Glazers just need to be gone. And I just feel it's so disrespectful and, selfish of them doing what they're doing and carrying on. They're just running the club into the ground, aren't they, ultimately?
Yeah, they're not going anywhere, are they? Adam, what did you make of the Everton point deduction? Is it harsh? Is it soft? Is it setting a precedent for what might come for other teams?
Well, when I saw it, I thought, well, obviously what's happening with Man City, but then you look at the side of it is it's one thing, and City have got 115. Um, but I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I was quite shocked by it. It was quite it's quite a big deduction, and it's not really been that long since the news broke about it. It's only been a matter of months. But it just shows you that they're taking it serious, and for teams that are breaching any kind of rules or not taking it serious are gonna find themselves in hot water. So it kind of sets a precedent, like you say, and you're looking at what's happened with other clubs, and you think, oh, they're gonna get away with it, and then something like this happens. It's like, well, they took like immediate action in a way. But I think with the with the game, I think it's gonna fire them up. I really think it's gonna fire Everton up. And it's probably it was a bit like us when we played them last season. And obviously Deutsch had come in, and they were fired up and they were up for it. And I think that's how they're going to be the weekend. But yeah, it just makes you think about other teams and what the possibilities are for them. And I think they're probably looking on thinking, oh shit, they've got all this to come. And yeah, I was quite shocked by it, but I think if you it's like with everything, you can't just expect to just because you're a big club and you've got a lot of money, you can run things differently to everyone else. Obviously, it's a disadvantage to other teams that are in the league that are following the rules. And obviously, Everton stayed up, didn't they, last season? And I know other clubs are looking at taking legal action against them as well. And it's just one of those things, isn't it? So.
I think the speed of the outcome is purely down to the fact that they're banged to rights, and they were fully cooperative with the league as well. And it was really a slam dunk for the Premier League to be able to penalise them. Okay, I guess the actual time that it took was trying to deliberate what punishment to give them. Initially, I'd seen some leaked stuff. Probably the start of the week where they got the deduction from an Everton fan, saying they're expecting anywhere between 12 and 18 points. So they've actually got off a bit lightly, or a bit lighter than initially anticipated. And I'm sure it'll be reduced on appeal, maybe down to 6 or 7 as well. And they've just got to take the medicine, suck it up, get on with it, because it's the perfect season for them to take it. There is 3 or 4 appalling teams in the league this year, and they're not one of them. And they'll easily stay up despite the point deduction. They can draw a line in the sand, move on. They've got new financing coming in. The stadium next year is going to generate new income for them. Learn your lessons, move on, get on with it, stop bitching about it, and stop. Oh, Man City have done this, Chelsea are doing this. Well, their cases are still to be answered, so it's not comparable. You've been done. They've been charged with one thing. It was always going to take less time than the other 2 clubs, and I think they just need to move on with it. I know it's tough for the fans, and the 3 of us would be aggrieved if anything like this happened to our own clubs. But at the end of the day, if you break the rules, you deserve to be punished at the end of the day, and it's clear as day. There's no argument to it. So they have to just move on. But I agree with you. It'll galvanise them and make it difficult for Man United, and I should imagine. With United's tough week as well, away at Galatasaray and away at Newcastle, is it, Ash?
Yeah, that's right,
yeah. This would have been a game that you're looking at that trilogy, most likely to win. Maybe Galatasaray as well, but it wasn't great news in the build-up, I suppose. I should imagine there's a few sort of sunken hearts amongst your fan base when that come through, because you'd expect Everton to be coming out fighting.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, if say Højlund doesn't make the game, and a few other people, it becomes tougher than it needs to be anyway. But what have you made of Højlund? Just before we move on, what have you made of Højlund so far? Because he seems to have absolutely smashed it in the Champions League for you, but struggled a little bit in the Premier League. But when he come on and made his debut against Arsenal, I generally thought to myself, he looks a handful. He looks like a half-tidy player. It's just not quite happened for him yet in the league.
No, I think he just needs that goal, doesn't he? I think once he's got that goal, I think it'll set him off and running. I think the capability and the ability is definitely there. It's just, I think he just needs that tip over the edge, and maybe an open goal, a little deflection or something. I think he just needs that bit of luck to get him over the edge. And like you say, you can see he's proven he can score. I mean, you look at the Champions League, he's doing really well. But yeah, I think he just needs something like that just to start the tally off, basically. And I think he's more than capable of getting 15 goals plus a season. I think it's just getting that start, and I think then once it's opened, it's just gonna only progress and get better and better.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. He just needs something to sort of kickstart his career, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Ad, we've got obviously top table clash tomorrow between City and Liverpool, meaning that Arsenal have the opportunity to overtake one, if not both, in the title race at Brentford. Kind of a tough game. We don't know really what to expect from Brentford this year. They're a bit hit and miss. They've got dangerous players on the break, and we will have to defend to a high level to sort of keep them out. Although I do expect Arsenal to dominate the ball and have the lion's share of the game. Arteta's confirmed Ramsdale's back in goal. Obviously, forced upon him. As much as our fan base want to see him back in goal, I don't think we would have if we had bought Raya in the summer. Do you think? What did you make of his comments, by the way, about not being able to concentrate in games?
Yeah, I did see that. It was the interview, wasn't it, with Ian Wright, and he was saying that the reason why he, has a lot of banter with the fans is that he can't concentrate for the whole game. He has to kind of distract himself, and then then he'll come back to focusing again. And somebody actually put a comment on that post that went around and basically said that we'd conceded in a game where he'd got distracted by a bird on the pitch. I actually remember seeing that. But I think my opinion on Ramsdale is that if you watched him over the season last season, he saved us that many times. Yeah, okay, he let us down as well in a few games, but he saved us that many times. He made some ridiculous saves, but he was consistent. He did more things right than he did wrong, and I think that's why he's built up that. That I don't know what the right word is, but
rapport.
Well, yeah, but the fans do love him. They love that he has that bit of banter, and he's kind of built his image on that in a sense. Like that's what you associate with Ramsdale. But I think if you're a team that wants to win titles, then you've got to be above that in a sense. But I love Ramsdale. I think he's a top keeper, and I like that he's got that that side to him. But at the same time, there's kind of like a time and a place for it. And obviously, he'll have his opportunity this weekend. I think it's going to be a big game for him to actually come in. Obviously, there's going to be pressure. We know Brentford are a team that can hurt you, especially on the break. We're going to have to defend well, and he's going to be key to keeping that ball out of the net. So it's a good opportunity for him. But I have seen today that Arsenal are going to take up the buy option. They have made the decision already that they are going to be signing Raya on a permanent deal. So they've already made that decision. So they're not going to make that decision and not playing, are they?
No, that's right. No.
So it's a good opportunity for him. But I think if he wants to play and if he's too good to be the number 2, which is what he is going to be, then there's probably longer term we might end up losing him. But I think we've already said it. When we've had conversations before, I kind of trust what the club do. It's all been positive in my eyes so far. So
yeah,
it is what it is.
What about you, Ash? If just before we move back onto the game review, if your goalkeeper or dropped goalkeeper did an interview saying something like that. What would you make of it? Because I was fuming with it. I thought, what are you doing? One, what are you doing on a fucking podcast anyway? And two, why are you saying you can't concentrate in games after you've just been dropped? Now, part of me thinks this might be an old interview that's just come out and Arteta's got wind of it, and that's part of the reason he's been dropped, which would go some way to explaining why he was so suddenly taken out of the team. But I just couldn't believe what I was hearing. That and his dad doing an interview, podcast as well in the same week, and that coming out. It's embarrassing for the lad. Honestly,
yeah, I think it's quite insulting to the fans, isn't it? Really, it's like you're a professional. You're there to do a job, especially as a goalkeeper. You're going to be concentrating more than probably anybody else on the field, and then to be saying things like that, as a fan, you'd be really, really upset and insulted by it, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And then you kind of, your lack of confidence and faith within him then is just going to drop, because as a goalkeeper, your main thing other than saving the shots is obviously, your concentration.
You should have seen Rice's face, because he was just absolutely flabbergasted. Like, I'll find out and I'll send it in the group. He was just looking at him like he couldn't believe that he just said it.
Yeah,
he just looked at him and he was absolutely like he didn't even say anything. Like, he just looked at him and he just didn't react. You could just tell he was completely shocked by what he was hearing.
And that's coming from somebody in Wrighty that interacted with the fans and that. But obviously, playing on pitch, you get a little bit of grace with it, I guess.
Oh.
Yeah, I thought it was shocking. I'm surprised the club have allowed it to come out, but maybe it takes the pressure off Arteta a little bit.
Yeah,
with his decision. I mean, I'm a big Raya fan, and I think it'll be superb for Arsenal when we've got a bargain in 27 million. Because when we come to sell Ramsdale, he's on a 5-year deal. We'll probably get more than that. We'll make money.
Yeah, definitely.
Obviously, you have to spend that on a number two. Yeah, I think we'll get 35, 40 million. I think Chelsea will do it, but we're mad to do it in January. We have to do that in the summer, but unless they've got someone in mind as a number two. But I was so cross and so disappointed that it had come out the way it did. It's embarrassing. And then you got his dad defending him and mugging the club off as well on a different podcast. And I just think it's been really poor, and I think he's just burnt his bridges. He'll play now out of necessity. Like, he won't get any Champions League game time, and a lot of our fans will argue that he should have played a game or two in the Champions League, but he might not get that opportunity. Especially at home, he might get the PSV game away if we're already through. But I wasn't happy with it, and it doesn't fill me with loads of confidence having to play him tomorrow. You're going to just get all the taunts from the Brentford fans. You're just a shit David Raya and things like that.
Yeah.
And I, remember the cup game. He made a blinding save at Brentford, tipped onto the post, I think it was. It come out, the ball's in our box, and he's looking at the fans behind the goal, fist pumping with his tongue out. I think the ball's in the fucking box. What are you doing? I think his antics. It's not his goalkeeping ability as such. He's made mistakes. All goalkeepers do. I think it's his antics. It's what Arteta don't like.
Oh.
And I think that's why he's out the team. You see, he don't like it. I don't like it. Play the game. Cheer at the end. Taunt the fans at the end if you win. Not in the middle of the fucking match. I haven't seen Raya do it. I don't see many goalkeepers do it, actually, if I'm in right in saying, and you two feel free to correct me, but I can't think of a single Premier League goalkeeper, number one.
Not
does
sure
it.
In the game. I mean, I know Ederson did it when they come to our place, and he did like the crying kind of thing, but that was during a goal celebration, but not actually during the game. I don't think I've ever seen, not actually during the game, like in play. No,
and it's too frequent as well. It's not like a one-off at Spurs or something like that. It's home to fucking West Brom or something like that. It's madness that we're even seeing that. I just think that's for me. I've made my mind up now. That's why he's been taken out of the team, because Arteta can't trust him to be fully focused and be on it for 90 minutes. And to win the league, you have to be every player, not just the goalkeeper, every player. But I don't think you can accuse any outfield players of doing things like that. They might make mistakes, but it's not because they're looking at the fans or a fucking bird flies past and they take their eye off the
Yeah.
ball. That, you know.
Well, the bird was actually on the pitch. It was like towards the left corner flag, and he was watching the bird. And as he was watching the bird, obviously they scored. It was just
Yeah,
unbelievable.
I mean, that's shocking. I mean, I can't even recall that. I heard about it in the week, and I thought I don't remember that, but that's shocking. That's really bad. You know, it's I can't even remember who was our number 2 last year. Oh, it was Turner, wasn't it? Well, let's face it, we weren't putting him under any pressure for the number 1 spot. He's now sitting on the bench.
No.
So, yeah, we're going back to the game anyway. Obviously, we've been boosted with a few players coming back from injury. Jesus should be fit.
Yeah.
Ødegaard is fit. I believe Ben White trained today as well, so he'll be fit.
Yeah.
Although if he has to sit on the bench and Tommy Asu plays, it's not an issue. We look in good shape. All the players come back from international duty with no scrapes or anything like that. Martinelli,
No,
a couple of good games for Brazil.
Yeah.
Looks all right. Havertz scored from left back, which we'll talk about in a sec. I found that really odd that he was playing at left back, but that will only boost his confidence as well. So I'm hoping for a good performance tomorrow. I want to see us sort of go into this period now where it's just pure club football for the next 4 months and really focus and get the hammer down, turn the screw a little bit, you know, come out of second gear and start playing a bit more free flowing and seeing what we can do, because it looks like it's going to be 3 teams in the title race. Liverpool don't seem to be going anywhere, so these are the games you can't be affording to drop points in.
No, it'll be a good game tomorrow as well with them, and it's not going to be an easy game for us. But I think we look like a different team this season. We're less fluid. We're playing football and we're less entertaining, I'd say, compared to last season. But we're more solid defensively. We're more composed. So it'll be interesting. I'll obviously an early kick-off between them two as well, and obviously it's always a good game when they play. It's going to be a really interesting weekend for the table.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, like I say, it's a good opportunity for Arsenal to lay down a marker tomorrow, and we've got 2 or 3 games that we should win, and then a couple of difficult away games. I think with Villa and Liverpool coming up before Christmas, so it's they're points that we have to put on the board. Ash, I just wanted to ask you from a neutral point of view. We are going back a few weeks now, but obviously he's been charged this week, and he's for his comments about the referee. And what did you think of Arteta's rant after the Newcastle game? Was it fair, or did he go too far?
It's hard to say, isn't it? I think when you think back of it now, you probably think it was a bit too far. But then I think at the time, in that moment, you'd say it's got to be fair because, it's heat of the moment and whatever else and the frustration. I feel, it's a bit harsh to comment at the time. I suppose after, when you look back, everything's always worse, isn't it? It's when you sit there and think about it and have time to reflect. But I think at the time, I mean, he's only, he's a passionate bloke, isn't it? At the end of the day, he's just trying to defend his club and, highlight more and more that how shit the decisions are and how much it's affecting teams and how it can affect results and whatever. So, to be fair, I don't think it was a bad thing. But it's one of them, isn't it? You just see more and more and more of it now. It's constantly, everybody's griping about it. And at the end of the day, it's shit.
Did you think Newcastle's goal should have stood? Because I see a lot of fans saying it was definitely a goal, but I'd like to see how they'd react if the goal was given against their own side.
Yeah, it's one of them, isn't it? It was harsh. It was harsh, but then you can see why it was given. But I'm on the fence. I wouldn't say either way, to be fair. But like you say, if he was on the receiving end of it, then you'd be massively pissed off. But then if you was if you're a Newcastle fan, you're obviously happy. And at the end of the day, it's one of them. But it's just the lack of inconsistency that's so annoying. I mean, like we spoke about, like Wolves' decisions of the 2 penalties. That wasn't penalties. It's just a lack of inconsistency. It's ruining the game massively in my eyes. It really is. It's frustrating to losing points, and it ultimately just puts you off watching the football. Now you see a team score or a goal happen, and you see it on the screen, stuff like that, and they slow it down so much, and you think, but you're not watching it. You're not watching it like that. You're watching it in normal speed. Everything looks worse in slow motion. It's a fact. You see, when people are boxing and stuff and they get knocked out, you watch on in slow motion. It looks 10 times worse than it does in normal speed. It's demoralising. It really is.
I couldn't believe the ruling for not giving it as a foul, for not being sure enough that there was enough force from Joe Linton, 2 hands in the back of someone's neck, to cause a foul and cause Gabriel to miss the ball. Then the ball hits his arm and goes to Gordon anyway, who's standing in an offside position because he's the wrong side of the goalkeeper and there's only one defender in between him and the goal. And saying the ball looks out of play, but they can't give it because they haven't got the right angles. Well, if you can't conclusively prove anything, scrap the system, because if it can't, you're in the Premier League with a Saudi-owned club for a start that should have 1 million cameras in that stadium. They should be the best equipped in the league. It's
pretty poor that they can't. They've got all this technology and they can't determine whether the ball's out or not. Didn't United have one a couple of weeks before and they deemed it as out? Was it Rashford, I think, on the touchline?
Yeah, it was Rashford. I think it was fraud, wasn't it?
Yeah,
and it was ruled out because they determined that it was out.
But how did they determine it was out? Because it was virtually the same as.
I tell you what, they guessed.
Yeah, it was exactly the same.
It's a guess. Yeah. It's who refs on the day and whether or not, and I'm going to come and put my neck on the chopping block here, whether or not they like the club that they're refereeing.
Yeah. But with the technology nowadays, they should be able to have the technology to find out whether the ball's out or in, just like they do with the goal line technology and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's enough technology.
We need the same technology they had at the World Cup, where it actually shows you exactly where the body part of the player is. And you know what? There's enough money in football to be able to do that. And it's like, I can't remember which player said it recently, but one player's come out and said that if they want them to play more games, then they need to get better technology.
Well, you see in tennis and stuff, don't you? They see whether the ball's out and stuff. It's definitely doable.
Yeah,
definitely doable. Yeah. To the Premier League, the amount of money that's involved within the Premier League and Champions League and whatever else. I'm not saying in the lower divisions, but it's all or nothing. I think it really is. But the game's changed. It's just shocking there.
I can't believe we're in our 4th season of VAR and we're still having these conversations about what they could do right.
I think this will be happening in 40 years, mate. I don't think it'll get any better at all, because ultimately it's still being decided by a person, isn't it? At the end of the day.
Well, I used to have this opinion that it's the technology is fine, it's the morons running it, but actually the technology is not good enough either. If you can't conclude something with lack of angles, and even some of the angles they did use, they was zooming in on Joe Linton and that, it's blurry as shit. You can't see fuck all. So what's the point in it?
Exactly.
I think they should have cameras on the outside of each post. We're looking along to the corner flags to determine whether the ball's in or out. Why they haven't got that, I don't know. That seems to be one of the easiest things they could set up. Camera inside the goalpost that looks out along the line towards the corner flag. Put a laser receptor in the corner flag, because they've all got the poles at the bases that can receive it.
Yeah.
And then you've got your in and out debate settled. Doesn't matter along the touchline, because the worst thing that happens is the throwing goes the other direction.
Which happens all the time anyway, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But they have to address that issue, because there's been 2 contentious goals this year now. One robbed United because I believe the ball's in play, personally.
I do as well, yeah.
Yeah, and one that's robbed Arsenal because the ball looked out of play, and they said that in their VAR review, but they couldn't give it because they couldn't be conclusive. They had 4 opportunities to disallow that goal. They were given a lifeline with the foul after not being able to conclude the ball out of play, and they still didn't take it. It was embarrassing. But then to Howard Webb to say, we don't know how much force was used. Well, how the fuck did Rodri get a penalty at Old Trafford then?
Exactly.
And they re-refed that. They re-refed that. Saka, Arsenal, the ball went in against Burnley. Saka was adjudged to have pushed the defender when he headed the ball. How's that determined as too much force?
Odegaard on Ericsson as well when Martinelli scored at Old Trafford,
Yeah,
and they went on to win that game, and he that wasn't a foul.
yeah.
They come out and said afterwards, like an independent panel had looked at it, and then it wasn't a foul. So again, we'd got robbed, and obviously United have been robbed as well. You know, it's not just isn't just us.
No, it's not. It's every team. I mean, look at Wolves. It's been embarrassing what's happened to Wolves the last two or three games. I watched the game against Newcastle and I could not believe Newcastle's penalty was given. Couldn't believe
it's a joke. It's a
and
joke.
then
Absolutely.
I had to listen to that prick Postecoglou go on about how we should respect the referee's decisions, mate, and all that bollocks that he comes out with. He got booked for dissent, so he made himself like a twat against Chelsea. And how did VAR not send off Udogie and Romero before they actually got sent off? The
Exactly.
2-foot challenge and kicking someone on the floor. It's a joke, but nothing's been said about it because they eventually got sent off. But if you, in the cold light of day, VAR got it wrong. They should have both been sent off before they was.
It's ruining the game massively. Absolutely.
It has. I mean, let's be fair. That game was good to watch as a neutral, but only because it had fiery tackles and, you know, Chelsea whipped them apart, really, and things like that. But really, in the cold light of day, VAR was terrible in that football match again. I think it's got to go. I expect Arteta to get banned for what he said, but at the same time, I don't know how De Zerbi's got away with what he said. To be honest, he's been let off with a warning, I believe. So's Pochettino for angrily confronting Anthony Taylor in the City game, I think it was.
Yeah, after the game.
See why they're so frustrated, though, can't you, at the end of the day? They're human, they're passionate, and it's about their football team. And they're being fucking robbed left, right, and centre. I'm surprised somebody hasn't put the referee, because if it was me, I would have done.
Yeah, I'm not knocking the managers at all. I'm a fiery character as well when it comes down to sport and how you know when you feel like you've been robbed and things like that. But I'm not having a knack at the managers at all. I liked De Zerbi's comments and thought, fair play, lad. Come out and say what you actually mean. I liked Pochettino's
more and more needed.
I don't like the fact that Arteta's been charged and the other two haven't. I think that's ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. You either charge them all or you don't.
Well, that's the thing.
What was worse about what did Arteta do that was worse? He answered questions in a press conference after a game after that sort of decision, whereas the other two have actually come out and done their actions deliberately. You know, De Zerbi wasn't asked if he liked the referees; he just come out and said it. You know, Pochettino wasn't told to go and confront Taylor; he did it. Whereas Arteta just answered press conference questions, maybe a little bit over the top, but he's been charged because he's called the officiating standards poor, and they are. Fed up with listening to whinge bags like Gary Neville defend them. I don't know what you two guys think about the media coverage and all that. I think it's been appalling the last month. The witch hunt on managers and clubs, and you know, obviously in particular Arsenal, they've been in the limelight, but Liverpool was for that defeat, and Klopp's comments after the Tottenham game. Why can't the media come out and back it? Why are they in bed with the referees? I don't get it.
They don't want to lose their jobs, that's why.
Well, I think that's part of it. I mean, Jamie Carragher slipped up, didn't he? He goes, well, we don't want to get rid of VAR because we don't want to lose this excitement off the telly. It's like, that's not what VAR's for. It's not so you've got something to talk about after the game. It's to get to the correct decisions, and they're not doing it. You know?
I just think, unfortunately, as much as we hate it and despise it, it's never going to go away. It's never going to go. It's never going to go.
You can't even celebrate a goal anymore because you don't know if it's actually going to be given. It takes too long in the stadium to actually get a decision. You don't know if you're coming or going. You don't know what's going on. You know, it shouldn't take as long as it does. And if the technology is not good enough, then they need to invest in more, don't they?
I agree. I'm just with you too. I think it's not going anywhere, but it should. It shouldn't be anywhere near the game, to be honest. But it is, and it seems to be like you say. You've already said it. It's ruined. It's there's no coming back for it, really. Right, we're going to do some predictions before we finish, lads. I know, Ash, you've got plans, so you need to shoot off. So we'll get back to a prediction chart. First one, we'll start with you, Ash. Man City v Liverpool.
I'd say 2-2 draw. I think it'll just be a bit like the City and Chelsea and Spurs game. I think it's be end to end. 2-2.
Adam?
I don't know. I want to say 2-1 Liverpool.
Oh, ballsy. I've gone with 3-1 City. I think they'll just be too strong in attack.
Is Haaland back or is he back?
I think Haaland's fine.
Oh, he is. I said to Andy, put him in pulled out just purposely for this game on Saturday.
Yeah, no, I think I haven't seen too
Didn't he
much
do something similar last time?
Yeah,
and then
before we played him, I think.
Yeah,
yeah. I think he's a machine, isn't he? He's got quite a robust body, and I think you would have heard more about it if he was out. I've not heard a thing, to be fair. So, like, a big deal would have been made of it if he was ruled out. Adam, Brentford, Arsenal.
I'm gonna say 2-0 to us.
Yeah, I'm doing the same. Ash?
3-2 Arsenal.
3-2.
Yeah.
Stay with you, Ash. Burnley v West Ham.
West Ham 3-0.
I'm going 2-1 West Ham. Adam?
I'm gonna 3-0 West Ham.
I'm going to stick with you, Ad. Newcastle, Chelsea.
That's difficult. I'm going to say 1-1.
And Ash?
2-2.
I've gone 2-0 Chelsea. I think Newcastle have got loads of injuries. Tottenham Villa, I've gone 2-1 Villa. Adam?
Yeah, I'm going to say 2-1 Villa as well.
And Ashley?
3-1 Villa.
Be a good game, I think, that one. I'm looking forward to Super Sunday this week. 2 good games on telly.
Mm-hmm.
Stay with you, Ash. Last one, Everton v Man U.
Man U 3-1.
Adam?
I'm going to say 1-1.
1-1. I've gone 1-0 to the Toffees. Just think it'd be a really hard game for United. I don't fancy them this week, unfortunately. Albeit they have been scraping results.
Not in the Champions League, though.
No. Well, before you go, we'll just ask you about that. It's a must-win, isn't it? Galatasaray?
Massively. And I think they need a good win as well. I don't think they want to scrape a win. I think they want a good, solid, 2 or 3, margin at least. They desperately need to win.
And then that puts you within a chance, but you have got Bayern, but theoretically they should have won the group by then, shouldn't they?
I'd have thought so, yeah.
Yeah. Tough game. I mean, it'd be horrible out in Galatasaray. They'll be right up for that.
Oh, massively, and especially having, a game on Sunday and then midweek as well. It's, it's ongoing, isn't it, for them?
It is, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if you lost all 3 this week, if I'm being honest, but it's just happens in football, doesn't it? It's one of fixtures that's horrible.
Yeah, hopefully Haaland's fit. I think if he misses Everton, I think he'll definitely start for Galatasaray. But like you say, it's obviously at their ground, so their fans are going to be, massively up for it, aren't they?
Because they need to win it as well, don't they? Or they need to get something. I think they need a draw minimum, don't they?
There's no other result. Man U need to win, and that's.
I think if Galatasaray draw and Copenhagen lose, then that'll be second, won't they? So if they get anything from it, if they get even just a point, they're basically through. So they might just park the bus, or they might actually give it a go. But I'd be very surprised if. Obviously, I know it's a possibility, but I'd be very surprised if United go out.
They've just got to win, haven't they? And hopefully the other results go for them. But You've got to do your own job first, haven't you? At the end of the day, you've got to get your own house in order.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Well, I think we'll call it there, fellas. As long as you're both good, not got anything else to add. I know you've got to shoot off, Ash, for your curry, and I need to get out my stinky clothes, so I'm good to go.
Yeah,
No,
nice
nothing
one.
else from me. Thanks again.
Lovely job.